Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with a doubled up version of the supposed to be weekly comic book roundup. As you may have noticed, last week there was no comic book roundup for, well, money reasons and sleeping reasons. Honestly, it's like 50-50. So, anyways, this week we got both quite the haul because it's going to be last week's and this week's books. Rather than have them interspersed as to, this one came out last week, this came out this week, we're just going to go through and, yeah. Especially with that certain weekly book. So anyways, kicking things off, we're dealing with the X-Men. We'll start off with X-Men The Exterminated. This is a one-shot that's a part of the aftermath of Extermination, which, funny, that last issue still hadn't fucking come out yet. Though, to be fair, it was supposed to come out last week. It just didn't. So, the book deals with Hope, Cable's surrogate, well, basically Cable's daughter, dealing with with Cable's death in Extermination. At least the Cable that she knows, since young Cable's still running around. Because, yeah. So when it starts off, she's running a danger room session for the students. And this may be something that happened recently. I just didn't notice because she really hadn't appeared too much recently. But she has. I'm not going to say she's got the same scars on her right eye that Cable does, but she's at least affected them. They at least appear to be there. Even the close-ups don't really, you can't really tell if it's scarring or, makeup or what. But anyway, she's got her students facing off against Apocalypse, while Bishop, Jean, and Nightcrawler all watch. And let's see. A full rundown of who else here. We've got Armor, Surge, Metis, who we met in the final arc of Cable's solo book, Glob Herman, Nature Girl, and Enole. Glob is, I guess, trying to affect his own catchphrase by shouting "It's Globber in time" as he charges Apocalypse. And to be perfectly honest, I'm all for it. Later on, outside the Institute, she's thinking, and then Bishop comes up to her and tries, one, to pay his respects, and two, to apologize for the hell he put her early life through, as Bishop did track her and Cable through the time stream for most of her life. And apparently they saved each other's lives from strife in the future. Jean kind of says, "Hey, look, Bishop, I get what you're trying to do, but give her some space." And so Jean says, the students, would love to see Hope around the Institute more often, so everyone would, really. They have a chat, and Hope confesses she's having trouble remembering what Cable looked like. And Jean volunteers to help. Well, Jean notices that she has keys with her and asks if those are the keys to his safe houses. Hope says she wants to go alone, but Jean suggests the two of them do it together. And also reminds Hope that, she's not the only person who considers Cable family. To be perfectly honest, Jean's familial claim is a bit more, you know, concrete. As you know, Cable's mother is Jean Grey's clone, so technically, yeah. And so they opt to do it with. Anyways, so they hit up his first one in Hell's Kitchen, and they discover that Deadpool's there, making himself milk and cookies. And it turns out that well, first off, it was I should have mentioned it earlier, but Hope is carrying Cable's old Silence, so she attacks Deadpool with it. They fight. And Deadpool kind of explains that this was like their place. And Hope accuses him of stealing from a dead man, and Deadpool even says, I'm definitely a dirtbag, but I'm not that much of a dirtbag. Gets his hand cut off and notices, hey, it looks like someone's reached a shoe of the Kubler-Ross grief model. Getting his hand cut off and stabbed. Well, that's anger. Anyway, so of course Hope thinks that Deadpool has no right to be there, and Deadpool kind of explains that he's known Deadpool longer than Hope's been alive. And we find out that Cable and Deadpool have a death pact. Well, first off, before that, Deadpool explains that Cable always treated him like he was a human, and then he explains that they had a death pact. Explaining that when one of them dies, the other one erases their data, their browser history, and clears their weapons cache, to ensure that there's nothing left behind that their enemies can use against the ones they love. And then he explains that because Jean and Hope are here, Cable obviously had more people who loved him than he does. But Cable still did this for Wade 6 times before. And he also explained, so he's not in the habit of robbing the dead, or at least the ones he cares about. He's already he's already taken care of this place. And then the two of them can handle Nathan's other safe houses. Besides, he got what he came for anyway. The last part of the pact being that they get to keep a keepsake. So Deadpool's taking Cable's portable mug. Keeps coffee hot even when you're jumping through the time stream. And he also explains that unless you bring it with you, there's no coffee in Age of Apocalypse. Then he talks some with Hope, whispers in her ear that that if she's like anything like her dad, he knows exactly what she's looking for, and that it ain't at this safe house, and it won't work. He also explains that he put 3 pounds of explosive under the sink, and they're about to blow. Next up, we get safe house number 9 in the Adirondack Mountains, which was also the first base for X-Force. It's a single panel. Her with Hope walking around wearing Cable's old shoulder pads, saying she can't believe that he used to wear them, and Jean saying that we've all made fashion choices we're not proud of. Give it 10 years, you'll see what I mean. Then there's one in Muir Island, where they discover there's one in Alaska that no one even knew about. So they go. It turns out it's actually rather close to It's right outside where the town that Hope was born in, at the beginning of the Messiah complex. So they go in and start looking through stuff. Apparently she feels aimless. But she's digging through stuff and she finds the time machine. Jean and Hope argue over it because, as Hope obviously means to go back and prevent Cable's death. And Jean kind of has that whole, it's that whole thing of you go back and change one thing in the past, you change everything. And obviously she doesn't want to, go through life without Cable, but and Jean even says just because you have the ability, the power to do something, doesn't mean you should. And then she also takes the time machine over and says it, and she won't let her. The two fight about it. Of course, it basically ends up becoming Hope punching Jean's force field, and then eventually just breaking down and apologizing for using her as a punching bag, which, Jean says that's what family's for. So they destroy the time machine, and Jean helps Hope remember what Cable looked like. And then the other half of the book is a flashback story told from Cable's perspective. Apparently he remembers everything since he was born. Which, no, no, just whatever. And you've got the Summers family all together. Scott and his wife Madeline, Alex and his girlfriend Lorna, their father Christopher, his father Nathan, and his wife, whose name I honestly cannot remember the name of, Cyclops' grandmother. Sorry. But Scott is distant, and so Corsair Chris tries to do something about that, and Scott retells what happened. He has memory issues. Given the point in time this happens, I think that his memory issues are in part due to Mr. Sinister's involvement when he was a child, as the foundling home that he woke up in was run by Sinister. Anyways, but they both tell their stories. It turns out, that Madeline's gotten pinned under a tree, and looking at the panel again, part of the tree's actually gone into her leg. And she begs, hey, whatever you think of me, just please save our son. And so he goes to save the two of them. And aboard the Starjammer's ship, they recover, spend a few days there, and they're back at the Summers home. This time with the Starjammers all there as well. You get this great. It's this great scene of Nathan Summers and his wife have this completely normal, mundane life, sitting there and entertaining their superhero sons, the superhero and girlfriend of one son, or their superhero grandsons, the superheroine girlfriend of one of those said grandsons, and their son and his space alien space pirate friends. And they're just like, yeah, okay, this is life. And it's just really cool. The final panel, though, is Scott, Madeline, and Nathan, baby Nathan, all lying in bed together. It's really cute. So that's X-Men The Exterminator. I'm actually really happy that it just focuses on the death of Cable, which admittedly when it first happened, I kind of thought it was going to be undone by the end of the miniseries, but reading the upcoming solicits, it was kind of like, oh, that's not going to get undone. So anyways, moving on to Uncanny X-Men, number 3, which is last week's portion of X-Men Disassembled. Where we left off, Jean Grey's team of X-Men were fighting dinosaurs in Montana. Storm's team were trying to corral various Madrox suits who had all gone crazy, and each one got new powers. And Legion had showed up at the X-Mansion, claiming he was here to help the students. So we pick up in Montana with Jean's team. Some of the dinosaurs managed to break through the ice wall that Iceman had made to keep them corralled away from the town. Bishop manages to stop a bipedal carnivore. Can't really. I want to say T-Rex, but I don't think it's actually a T-Rex. I think it's one of the other, one of the various other bipedal carnivorous dinosaurs. That was the human he's chasing trips, however, as the dinosaur falls, and Bishop goes to help him up, and then hands him his God Hates Muties sign. Ask him, "You're all right?" Yeah. And and your sign, sir. You get a close up of the M on Bishop's face, and guys are like, "Thanks." Iceman and Bishop briefly talk. More Iceman talks, and Bishop responds with a total of less than 10 words. X-23 informs Jean that the X-Men are clear, and so Jean telepathically asks Storm if they need an assist. And back in Kansas, Storm replies that they are overwhelmed and an assist would be much appreciated, as we see her team trying to contain the various Madri. Madri. That's what they said that's what Marvel seems to have said is the plural of Madrox. Anyways, back at the school, Legion asking the students, since he wants to help, could he come inside? Armor, Legion, right? So it's probably not, she's not sure it's the best idea for him to come in until someone throws a rock at the door, and so Armor changes her mind, like, yeah, just come on in. Anyways, so Jean's X-Team gets to to Kansas, where Storms is, and they see what's going on. And actually, a very good moment of work, proving that Bishop does have at least something that resembles a sense of humor. North Star asks what the Magi are thinking, and Jean kind of said, I'm not entirely sure that he's thinking anything. And Bishop chimes in with sounds right, though she explains that's not what she meant. But she also explains that none of them are Jamie Prime. which the X-23 means that killing them isn't killing Jamie, so she can kill as many of them as she wants, or rather, as many as necessary. But she asked if Bishop asked if she could tell what's wrong with them, and she says it's like they're not even Jamie. And it's the scene that was shown in the very beginning of the series with the various X-Men fighting Madroxes. And so Jean runs over to Psylocke, explains she has an idea. Back at the mansion, Legion explains that Legion learns that the X-Men, there's a team of X-Men fighting dinosaurs, and that somehow Madrox is involved, and so he tells Pixie that she needs to tell the X-Men to disengage the Madroxes. Anyways, during the fight, both Jubilee and North Star are injured, while Jean and Psylocke manage to use their powers together while the rest of the X-Men cover them. And they stop the Madrai. Turns out the source of everything is, at least what's going on with the Madrai, is beneath their feet. And something's going on with Legion, and he goes a bit crazy and puts his hair back straight up, and he explains that he had everything handled, and the X-Men just couldn't leave well enough alone, though. And he picks a fight with the X-Students. Back in Kansas, the X-Men go underneath the ground, and they find Madrox chained to a chair, beaten up. Explaining that if they don't mind untying him, he's got a Legion to kill. Also, he'd be super grateful for a glass of water. So he explains what was going on. Apparently, Legion kept him chained up in there, and put each of his personalities into a dupe. Each dupe was controlled by a part of that weird. Each dupe was controlled by a part of that weird creeper. He was building an army. Bishop kind of said, "Isn't Legion dead?" Then Iceman, well, the final answer becomes, Legion is complicated. He seems to have tried to erase existence from our collective memories, but now he's back for some reason, which is not good. Jean appears to be being blocked from communicating with anyone at the mansion. However, she can reach Beast, who's outside the mansion, and he explains that everything seems to be par for the course until Rockslide is thrown through the wall. So the X-Men arrive back at their home base, and proceed to go after Legion. He explains that he contacts Jean telepathically, explaining that he warned her, and that vision of the future that he shared with her, because he was trying to protect everyone. From what, you might ask? The Horsemen of Life, Wellness, and Bounty. Magneto, Blob, Angel, and Omega Red. And Magneto explains that someone is in charge of them. And then the mansion is destroyed. Which is where the issue ends. So now we've... Three story arcs have all... Most of the stories have all converged. And there's a fourth story arc I forgot to mention, which was... Kitty Pryde, the racist senator, and Apocalypse are all being held prisoner by somebody. Anyways, moving on to Uncanny X-Men number 4. And yes, that's Nate Gray on the cover. The Age of Apocalypse version of Gable. So, at the aftermath of the explosion, the Horsemen of Life are looking down, and Magneto says his will be done. The X-Men all appear to be dead. When they leave, turns out that Armor and Psylocke, that Jean and Psylocke combine their telepathy to create an illusion of them all being dead. Though Psylocke is afraid that this time they truly lost Warren, Angel. Anyways, the Horsemen of Life touch down in Quadra Island in British Columbia, explaining to their lord that it is done and obstacles have been removed. We discover that their lord is in fact Nate Gray, X-Man. He congratulates them, explaining that everything that they've gone through will be worth it in the end. And now begins Phase 3. We see Kitty Pryde there. And she asks what phase was kidnapping them. Though Nate explains what's Phase 2, not that it matters. Kitty tries to get an explanation out of him, but he's being very dodgy. And X-Man explains that Kitty's voice will be a very important voice, as just not yet. Apocalypse says, and the rest of us, will our voices be heard as well? And Nate explains that he's not here for his voice. Apocalypse is not there for his voice. He's there to remind him of what hell is. And he means to share his vision for the world with every mind on the planet. And it's quite a thing to connect with people on such a level, almost religious, treated as such. Kitty says, there's no way he's powerful to do that. And Apocalypse that pretty much says he kind of does have Magneto on a leash, like a dog. He turned off your power to the word and has me bound in chains. I don't think power is an issue here. And so he does just that. We see glimpses of people all over, be they civilians or supers. Cap, Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel, the X-Men, Black Panther. And his message being thus: people of Earth, I am X-Man, and I bring you a message of peace and love, but also the truths we have so long ignored, at our peril. Things have never been worse. We are a world divided, A people at war with both ourselves and with nature. Earth is doomed unless drastic measures are taken. I am those drastic measures. I am the second coming you have waited for, prayed for. I will reshape this world. My horsemen of salvation will traverse the whole of the earth, remaking it in my image. There will be painful days ahead, but our rewards, great. Today is the first day. By the seventh, all will be done. A new world order. Peace in our time. And the X-Men watch a news broadcast about it. And of course, Iceman claims, like, a guy called X-Man telling the whole world he's going to bring about the apocalypse to make things better. That's bad for X-Men PR, right? Beast, of course, mentions the fact that Bobby is a master of understatement. And, Bishop, this is, Purge puts out, this is obviously connected to the strange phenomena that has been popping up beforehand. Storm adds a connection that adds the connected dot of he probably is the one who abducted both Kitty and Senator Allen, as well as Apocalypse. However, Legion explains, in fact, he took Apocalypse first. Legion goes on saying he sent visions, tried to save Pride of the Center, made his own weapon M to save the world, and yet he refused to see. And he says, why don't the stupid X-Men ever listen to him? And Iceman wondering why Legion blamed himself for X-Man. And then Bishop explains it. Technically speaking, Legion created X-Man. Nate Gray came to this world from the alternate reality called the Age of Apocalypse, which Legion created. Therefore, Legion interrupts, therefore I'm his father. And also Cyclops is, and Jean is. Well, not his father, but she's his mother, but different versions of them. And I'm their father, too. And it makes my head hurt to think about it. But I definitely feel responsible, and now the world is over, all because I tried to make my dad happy. Don't make your dad happy, kids at home. It's just such a tragedy. Save the world by being disappointing. Doing my part. Then the students get into a disagreement with Jean over methodology, namely the fact that Jean made Legion sleep when he said he was coming. He came to help. Pixie tries to calm things down. Back in Beast's lab, turns out the Beast may have inadvertently been partially responsible for this mutant vaccine, which he's researching. X-Men asks Horseman if the X-Men suffered when they died. Magneto explains it was mercifully quick. And he sends Magneto and Angel to treat the symptoms of the disease called war. Blob and Omega Red are asked to help Nate give back. Back with the X-Men. Jean explains that with the Avengers and Fantastic Four and every other superhero team being stretched thin by what's going on, they can't sit on the sidelines. So they're sending out a pair of squads. Bishop, X-23, Northstar, and Iceman are with Jean. Psylocke, Polaris, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, and Cannonball are with Storm. Yes, Armor's with Jean. And everyone else is to work on cleaning up the mansion. Which does not sit well with Rockslide. Or, well, any of the kids. And in fact, Armor goes so far as to say that she's not leaving her squad. She will stay with her. She will stay at home with the rest. She'll stay at the mansion with her team. She will stay there with them and work on the cleanup. And so Jean and Armor have a bit of an argument. Storm's team is going to country of Shania. And Polaris explains that Magneto has very obviously been here. Because every person disturbs the planet's magnetic fields as they move through it, subtly, like tiny ripples on the surface of a pond. However, Magneto is a tidal wave. Apparently, Angel and Magneto took all the guns from the war and made us, and turned the said guns into a statue of Nate. And the soldiers were apparently the soldiers were made to think that the villagers made Magneto take their guns, and it's explained that basically the whole situation in Shania was the powder keg, and Magneto lit the fuse and ran. Back at the mansion, the students are working on cleanup. Well, they're supposed to be working on cleanup, but they go to talk to Legion. Start talking. And it's, I can hear the way it would sound in my head, and however, Pixie's not entirely on board, explaining that what they're doing is crazy, and that Legion himself is 150% crazy. And the fact that they're listening to him makes them even crazier. Rockslide actually kind of agrees. Partially because the other X-Men are already pissed enough at them. And Armor explains that she's not too happy with them right now either. Whereas, and also, Armor believes him, as does Glob. And of course, it becomes a tie, though Enola is set to break the tie. Meanwhile, in the Gulf of Mexico, Omega Red and Blob are working at destroying an oil platform. Omega Red explaining that for years they were warned of the ill effects that oil brought to this Earth. All the gallons spilled into the sea, you get a ton of carbon released into the atmosphere every year. And a megalodon eats some of the oil workers. As the X-Men go to save at least the workers, X-23 remarks or asks if she gets to stab the megalodon. Though Jean said, unfortunately, no, she doesn't. Iceman and North Star are tasked with getting them out of the water. X-23 and her will deal with Omega Red and Blob. But everyone else is tasked with saving the workers. In Hell's Kitchen, Madrox is having a drink. Glob goes to ask him. And will ask him to help. Explains that he needs Madrox for his plan to stop X-Man. Glob explains, you can't imagine the pain that Legion put him through. But right now, they got a world to save, and he's the only one who can help. Of course, Madrox drinks his drink and says, when you put it like that, no. But then relents, and if he dies, it's on Glob. And that is the end of Uncanny number 4. So we'll see where things go next week, as X-Men Disassembled continues. Next up, we've got the Merry X-Men Holiday Special. As it is a tradition for there to be at least one special put out by at least the two major comic book publishers this time of year. This is the first of 2, 3. I think it's 3. Season's beatings. Oh, it may well be that Merry X-Men and Season's Beatings are the only holiday specials Marvel's putting out this year. Anyway. So, we started off on December 1st with Jubilee and Meli Kalikimaka. And on December 1st, Jubilee found the perfect present. Apparently she's packing, she's going for a full month in Hawaii, an actual Christmas vacation. Which never happens for an X-Man. So she digs out her bikini, and during everything, she found Ileana's old Bamf doll and gives it to Shogo, her adopted kiddo. And they're promptly kidnapped. Look at December 2nd. It's Kitty Pride and Never Again. Kitty celebrating Hanukkah in the ruins of Genosha. 12 million people lived here in Genosha. A mega sentinel wiped them out, without hesitation, without mercy, simply because they were mutants. One of them was my dad. All that's left of these people are ghosts, spirits embodied through the person of a kid who calls herself Wicked. Their lives, their dreams, their futures were stolen from them by hate. Never again. I'm Kate Pride, leader of the X-Men. I'm done dancing on the sidelines of history, saving our planet from the shadows. The time for them to make a real difference. In the name of those who died here, in defiance of those who ordered them killed. I'm going to save the world the right way. The best way to do that, I figured, no matter how long it takes or how hard the journey is to run for president and win. This I promise, Dad, before I'm done. From these ashes will rise a better, brighter, truly joyous future. And so, yeah, we get Kitty Pryde's announcement for president. Next up, we've got Wolverine and hashtag Hot Class for Hanukkah. It doesn't say where it is. It's obviously, however, up north is snow. Lots and lots of snow. Guy trying to shovel out his car in time to do some Christmas shopping. And Wolverine runs through with his hot claws chasing a couple of ninjas. Manages to get the snow melted, though. Next up, we've got Jean Grey and Deadpool and Dreaming of a Wade Christmas. And you've got Jean and Deadpool walking around, Wade wearing an ugly Christmas sweater because, well, yeah. Jean wearing some kind of fur-lined. It looks like it would totally be an elf costume. Basically, it looks like it would be a hooded elf costume. She's carrying a tree over her shoulder, and Wade has a box of presents, making jokes, and it all turns out to be a pair of action figures. I think being played with by Wade's daughter. Next up, we've got December 5th, we have Nature Girl and I Hate Christmas. Nature Girl, first off, Nature Girl is one of the X-Men students. Obviously, she has nature-based powers. She also has antlers coming out of her head. And she explains that she hates Christmas and always has. You know, we always focus on how it brings people together. Everyone talks about feeling warmth despite the chilly air, the unavoidable spirit of giving. And she says, they tell me they don't like the plastic ones. They don't feel authentic. Though to her, everything else about the holiday is plastic. Nobody likes to think about what they take away. But if you do, nature will tell you a different story about the holidays, about a different kind of chill, about a different kind of giving, about families being torn apart. So yeah, she has a reason to hate Christmas, because all she hears are the screams of slowly dying trees. Next up, on December 6th, we discover that Jubilee and Shogo have been trapped in a mall. But there's somehow the food court at the mall is able to get they're able to get their food. So then it starts snowing. And that's where that one ends. Next up, we've got on December 7th, Gambit and the Sheesh who's I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't really care. Who Stole Christmas. So Gambit's doing 3-card Monty in Times Square because Gambit. Some kids walk up and he says, "Hey, want to play? Maybe win some money to buy a few presents." And the kid explains, what's the point? That mutant-hating billionaire Boris Sheesh bought every Wolverine toy in the city and locked them in the sublevels of Sheesh Industries. And so Gambit says, well, everyone's getting a present this year. And so Gambit breaks into the sub-basement of Sheesh Industries and steals them because Gambit. On the 8th, we get Iceman and White Elephant. And apparently, Iceman was tasked with providing the youngsters of the mansion an event that skirts religion, issues of income, dietary restriction, and eschews capitalism. So, White Elephant. He explains it, and after the highlights of of everything were a Chia Pet, a tie-dyed X-Men logo T-shirt, a Chinatown bootleg Spider-Man doll, a handmade booklet, a poster of whales, the 2019 glasses, jumbo bag of sour candy, Metro card valued at $10, Stark Industry branded water bottle, a signed Dazzler poster, a beat-up copy of Great Expectations. And the Iceman explains he's been given the best gift of all, though. Because it took so long, he missed the last train out to see his folks. Guess long on, we'll have to wait till tomorrow. We got Magneto in The Impossible Enemy, December 9th. Magneto saves some children from a robot in Warsaw. Some mutant children, apparently. They're apparently Jewish, and they it would seem that Magneto's lost his faith, and these kids kind of say, "Hey, no, we gotta. There's a reason to maintain it, And so, and Magneto says maybe it's important to remember the miracles of the past. Next up, on the 10th, we got Storm and Christmas Jeter. She's working on goes to the city to do her shopping. She bumps into a guy that basically, you're that mutant lady who used to be married to the king of that presumably shit country. And she informs him that the country that he's referring to is Wakanda, and her name is not Mutant Lady, it is Ororo. The guy that continues with, that's what, Ororo? That's who's doing for Santa. With some milk. And then she makes a small rain cloud and centers it on his head. Basically, spinning off of the article she was reading initially. Next up on the 11th, we have Jubilee in Deck the Malls. So now, her and Shogo are apparently on the run from a bunch of robot Santas. They're a combination of Santa and various heroes, including The Thing, Mr. Fantastic, Spider-Man, Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, and of course, Wolverine. And during all this, Shogo drops the Bamf doll. Next on the 12th, Beast is going to give Kavita Rowe a gift. It's Dr. Nemesis in the giving season. And he imagines a conversation he will be having with Dr. Rowe when she bursts out of the lab and explains that Beast won't believe the gift Dr. Nemesis sent her. An original script from The Last Jedi, autographed by Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley. So Beast calls Nemesis and explains when he asks for suggestions, what he could get for Dr. Rowe, and maybe it can occur to you that, you're going when you tell someone, yeah, that person likes Star Wars. Maybe explain you're also going to get that person someone that's going to make any other gift worthless. And he also reminds his nemesis to bring Dip to poker. Next up on the 13th, we have Rogue and Gambit and Christmas Catastrophe. And so, I'm sure if I was reading, this might make a little more sense if I was reading Mr. and Mrs. X. You try to eject a cat with something, and the cat runs, and yeah. But apparently, when all is said and done, at least this time they didn't eat any of the medicine. But Remy got some in his eye. And so Rogue offers to kiss it to make it better. Then we have Old Man Logan on the 14th, and the gift that keeps on giving. Old Man Logan's chopping wood near the mansion, and Nightcrawler comes out with a gift for him and says he always wondered why the mansion's fire was always disc-shaped. Harkening back to the all-new, all-different X-Men's first Christmas together, where Wolverine gave Nightcrawler a picture of himself. Nightcrawler gives Old Man Logan a picture of himself. Then on the for December 15th, we've got Cannonball in Home for the Holidays. Cannonball and his wife Smasher of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard and formerly of the Avengers are together with and as they pass by someone, Cannonball wishes them a Merry Christmas, and the guy says, makes a point that explaining this is a Glorpian planet, and there's a war. The war on Glorp today is alive and well on the streets. You can see it. I mean, this is Glarbox and their blue coffee cups all over again. Completely insane concept of someone acting like that. I could never imagine anyone on the planet ever acting that way, ever. Anyway, on the 16th, we have Domino in the naughty list. She explains that the holidays are very therapeutic. She usually spends so much time during the rest of the year killing really bad people for larcenies of money that she rarely gets the opportunity to just give back to society. And as a mercenary, community service is a very important activity in retaining one's humanity. And she kind of flubs a quote, or rather, who made the quote. But so, anyways, she picks up on a drunk guy. The drunk guy chasing down a girl, trying to, get a dance and a kiss out of her. Guy also happens to be, a human trafficker. And so, she shoots him. And next up, on the 17th, we get the Braddocks in Baby Steps. Megan is trying to film the first steps of her and Captain Britain's son. Doesn't really go too well, and Ryan, when Captain Britain himself shows up, shocked to see that his sister is back in her original body. They have a nice little brother and sister moment. Then we got on December 18th, Glob Herman and Deck the Halls. Glob puts a mistletoe over a doorway. platter of food on his and a chair and platter of food in front of it, and yeah, promptly sits down underneath the mistletoe. On the 19th, we got Gabby Kinney in Secret Santa. And it turns out that Gabby has a Secret Santa, so she goes around asking everyone who it could be. Then she, after giving it a sniff, realizes it's from Mindy Cuckoo. Anyways, on the 20th, we got Jubilee. And All I Want for Christmas Is You. Explosions throughout the mall. And she manages to get the Banff back for Shogo as she escapes said mall. Next up, on December 21st, we got Hope Summers and The Longest Night. Bobby Drake, Iceman, is holding a winter solstice party with all the X-Men and X-adjacents. Hope, however, is sitting in a chair looking at her phone. Bobby comes over and, hey, it's the longest time of the year. You've been sitting here all night. And then, as he takes the phone, and then she realizes, then he sees what's on the phone. It's a video of Cable, and then all of them, kind of Domino, Deadpool, and Hope gathered around as well to watch the video. Anyways, on December 22nd, we got Beast in Blue Christmas. Beast overhearing his parents talking about everything, and he's he like the fact that Beast looks like a different person every time he comes home, and it's kind of, while Beast looks at some old pictures of himself. Next up, on the 23rd, we have Nightcrawler and To All a Good Nightcrawler. We got two kids sitting outside of Cocker and Ween's Toys, telling a story about how apparently Magneto was able to pull down Santa's sleigh when you're controlled with die-cast metal. The Nightcrawler shows up, and they ask if he can confirm that actually happened or not, and Nightcrawler says that he can confirm it's late and they've got to get home. They ask if he has any kids, and he says 9, because German. I'm like, 9 kids? Like, no. He doesn't have children, but he does have elves. And a very disappointed friend who happens to be their mom. Now, on the 24th, we've got Jamie Madrox in Gift of the Magi. Gambit gives Madrox a watch. It was, in fact, Winston Churchill's pocket watch given to him by his father. And if anyone asks him, it's a fake. But it totally isn't a fake. And he forgot to check who he got in the Secret Santa this year, so Gambit explains, oh, no, we stopped doing Secret Santa years ago. The Cuckoos always ruined it. Now we all get gifts for everyone. And he says, there's like 230 X-Men now. He hits himself in the head, makes a dupe. Both of which holding the watch. And so he gives the watch to everyone. On Christmas Day, we've got Arcade in Walking in a Winter Murderland. So on Christmas Day, Arcade went to work anyway, asking some potential financiers if they love it. And apparently the mall that Jubilee was stuck in was hidden. And he explains that, yes, someone can survive Murder Ball. The least powerful X-Man managed to pull it off. The idea being that it's both shopping mall and escape room all in one. And it turns out he's managed to get a hold of the Banff doll. Then Jubilee bursts in, punches him out, gives Shogo the Banff doll, and proceeds to beat the crap out of him. As the Storm and Nightcrawler show up, turns out one of the financiers, one of the potential financiers, called the X-Men. The number's on the school's website. His daughter's a fan. And then Jubilee asks if maybe Nightcrawler could teleport her and Shogo to Oahu for New Year's. And then that's where it ends. I'm interested to see what Season's Beatings brings. Next up, we've got Return of Wolverine, number 3. So we get Wolverine versus the X-Men. Or at least the X-Men showing up. So, the X-Men have learned that, okay, Wolverine's alive, and this is where, and we know where he is. The potential ramifications of going after Wolverine are explained or reiterated to Jean. But this is probably the best chance they have to find him. In the city where Wolverine is, he is trying to he's basically trying to figure out what's what, as you know, the X-Men arrive and people and police show up and start throwing stuff at the X-Men because, well, and they're firing tear gas into them. And so Wolverine goes to help, and simply, this is elsewhere, Persephone's informed of what's going on, and one of her hit squad people asks how many X-Gene carriers does she want to die, and he can dispatch kill team immediately. But she says, not right this time. Let the X-Men go back to their mansion and wonder how many children they've condemned to death by coming here today. Which, honestly, I think that's probably even worse. As Logan gets out, finds walking away from battle, bleeding, tells you what happens. So, says that obviously those the mutants that just showed, they must be with Sotera. So Wolverine goes after him. In his head, the X-Force portion of him explains, you know, hey, I can tell you the powers, weaknesses, everything you need to take him down. Wolverine and Nightcrawler fight, and just as it looks like maybe he's going to stab Nightcrawler, Wolverine just punches him, knocks him out. Next, Wolverine and Jean. However, Iceman manages to stop him. And one of them is simply saying "bub." Patch in the next cell over says that's the Berserker. He ain't known for his restraint. And Logan lets the Berserker out. Promptly pops his hot claws, stabs Wolverine, and the issue ends with a rather angry Wolverine having already cut Iceman in half, and with his hot claws out. Well, there's the shot. Next up, we've got Dead Man Logan #1. So, Old Man Logan #50 ended with Logan having killed Maestro and collapsed in the snow. Maestro's time machine destroyed. Or time/dimension machine. So outside of Fort Wells, the X-Men find him. You're able to find that, yes, he's still alive. So they take Wolverine with them. Forge goes to look at, presumably the tech that Maestro had with him. Wolverine wakes up in the mansion and Cecilia and Glob are there. He's been unconscious for 11 days. Cecilia Reyes, X-Men's doctor, explains to me he's got about 12 months left to live. And so he suits up and heads down to the bar with no name. And asks for Mysterio and starts beating the crap out of barflies. Once him and Miss Sinister share words, and once Logan's left, Miss Sinister then talks to Tarantula, who does know where Mysterio is, but wouldn't talk because he's not a snitch. And Forge explains to Glob that he needs to talk to Logan about something. And in Brooklyn, Wolverine's poking around. Hawkeye shows up, explaining that Rooster had been in that particular spot for a year. They go back and forth, and he explains that he knows where Mysterio is. But so eventually he explains to Hawkeye what he wants from Mysterio. Turns out Hawkeye called Spider-Man, and Spider-Man told Hawkeye. Hawkeye kind of has sometimes it's easier to ask for help. Turns out that Mysterio is in an asylum. However, Miss Sinister gets to him first, and takes him out of there. So Hawkeye tries to convince the staff to let him in, but nope, not family, not lawyers, so they can't. So, and apparently also, all the people, women they speak with, she knows who the Avengers are. Cap, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man. Hawkeye ain't one of those of them. And he there's more than just four. Like, sure, Black Widow, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Stingray. So yeah, he takes a little bit of a confidence in it. She knows Stingray over him. She also mishears him and thinks that he's calling himself Hot Guy. Ms. Sinister and Mysterio go and get his gear, and while Logan and Hawkeye break in and find out just where they discover that, oh, Mysterio isn't here anymore. And an undisclosed laboratory of forges. Forge turns on a machine he's working with and then walks through it. It ends up in the wastelands. Then Miss Sinister brings Mysterio to a base on an island in the Pacific Ocean. Sin basically saying, Red Skull's daughter, saying, "This is the man that's going to help me realize my father's been killing the heroes and ruling the world." Then Crossbones, this whole Hail Neo Hydra. So that's where that goes. Let's see what happens with the rest of this one. I honestly think they should have just ended. It's kind of I feel it was kind of a dick move to be all, oh yes, Old Man Logan's finishing at number 50. Just so we can put out 12 more issues with him and Dead Man Logan. They're kind of a dick move. And of course, I'm the one spending money to buy it, so I really can't complain too terribly much. Next up, we've got Shatterstar number 3. On Horus 4, all of Shatterstar's tenants are being corralled about, but Tina Cook manages to slip away, and she runs into Grandmaster, who wants to know what. Actually, kind of wants to know what it's like living on Earth with, on a planet where you don't have anything like superpowers or. Of course, Shatterstar. It turns out that Carl Stortenthau was taken as payment by one of the death sponsors. So, Shatterstar to go and rescue him. Turns out that once upon a time, while Shatterstar and Gringrave were allies, Shatterstar was to breed with one of the other gladiators and be married to, as well, Windsong. Back to the present, Death Sponsor Carl is trying to sell him, but Shatterstar manages to save the day. Meanwhile, back with Grandmaster Tina, Tina explains that she was a banker on her Earth, and Grandmaster Tina says, "Is banker not just another name for a supreme gambler who plays with other people's money?" And he kind of makes an offer to her, what if Tina could be the champion of the tenants? And so, Grandmaster interrupts Shatterstar's the viewings of Shatterstar's actions for a contest of champions. Zeus, I'm going to presume it's spelled an X as opposed to a Z, against the possessor of untold new powers, a castaway from the harshest of all universes, a keeper of riches. Verse 12:18, Tina Cook. Girl has flaming blue hair, like literally flaming blue hair, a shield, and apparently superpowers. And that could seem, gives Zeus a pretty good hit right off the bat. Turns out that the guest sponsor that took Carl used to be a big fan of Shatterstar's back in the day. And just wants to know what happened to Shatterstar. What made him lose faith? Well, he was content to simply do things that, like, oh, yeah, hey, so you and Gregory were together. Yeah, that's great. We want you and Windsong together, though, so that's going to... Turns out Windsong and Sovereign Shard were planning to kill Shatterstar. At least, presumably, that's what happened. Anyways, back to the battle between Tina and Shatterstar takes down said death sponsor. But the fight has turned in Zeus's favor, and he presumably kills Tina. Meanwhile, it turns out that Grandmaster's got action figures of both Shatterstar and Gringrave. Alrighty, next up we've got Deadpool number 7. And yes, that is Deadpool creeping up on Santa on his sleigh. Basically, starts off Christmas morning in Queens. A kid runs downstairs. Nothing under the tree. He's mad. He's pissed. And so, a week later, so I would actually make it New Year's Day. Said kids go to hire Deadpool. And they somehow got a lot of money. They did a Go Pay Me campaign, and they all kicked in their allowances, and so yeah, Deadpool takes the job of going to kill Santa Claus. So he's up in the North Pole, where he comes upon Avengers Mountain, and Thor and Doctor Strange are both there, and it's funny, if I had Oh, I ate too much meat today, or do I see Deadpool walking through our front yard? And Dr. Jones like, for once, you've not had too much meat. That is definitely Wade Wilson. So, he has to Santa's candy house, which looks to be made of candy. It's all kinds of fucked up. Broken windows, broken candy, gigantic candy canes. He goes inside and signs are evident of a struggle. Then Mrs. Claus comes down with a gun, starts blasting at him, but he manages to. So he throws a sword down the barrel of said gun, but she still fires and. And they talk, but it turns out that Santa's drunk, and yeah, this would have made for a fun Max issue. Oh, and Santa beats the shit out of Deadpool. That motherfucker is fast. I mean, hey, a few billion presents locked up and down chimneys all around the globe in one night builds up your speed and stamina. But it turns out that there's an elf named Tinsel is at fault. Tinsel opened up is now running a Roxxon Toys with all the elves up on the North Pole. And so Deadpool goes in, guns blazing, because Deadpool manages to, of course, save the day. All the elves go back to Santa because it turns out they didn't leave of their own free will. And so Deadpool delivers everyone's Christmas presents. But presumably, of course, the kids are just like, the kids are probably refunded of their money, I'm sure. Because, well, Deadpool may be a scumbag, but he's not that much of a scumbag. Next up, we've got Marvel Knights 20, number 3. Where we left off, Elektra, Daredevil, and Officer Frank Castle were all about to have a throwdown when turned out they all saw Karen Page, and the man sitting in the back of Frank's squad car was getting a bit agitated. So anyways, this issue goes into Hulk busts out of the car. And we have a flashback explaining that apparently Frank used to constantly have this dream working with, some of the Marvel Knights. He'd shooting people, and he'd wake up in a cold sweat, and nice girlfriend, and he'd keep on imagining. But there was that skull that he always envisioned, kept seeing in his dreams. We go back to the interrogation of Bruce Banner. And Banner says you could always try to always probably try to talk to these people. Cop is likely to get taken more seriously than, Banner. And so, but Frank says, but if he brings him a note from the fucking Tooth Fairy, the Jersey Devil, or Grumpy Cat, they're done. To which Banner says, after Frank leaves, Grumpy Cat is a real cat, though. So, anyways, Rikers Island. They talk to their first one, Tony Stark. He's incarcerated there. Best-selling author of 946 pages of toilet paper called Extremis, Tools for Nano-Managing Your Life. Currently serving a 252-year sentence for embezzlement, insider trading, and conspiracy. Anyways, Frank helps another rookie out, though. Officer Blake. He chides Blake for shooting at a fleeing suspect. Turns out, Officer Blake is a dropout med student. It isn't used to real combat, but they don't run around punching punk teenagers. He tells Blake to just call him that he ran off. And also tells him not to be such a wuss. Frank goes after the guy, and what do you know? It's a kid, a green overcoat, wearing black chucks, kind of greasy, short, dark black hair, and refers to Frank as an idiot mortal. He's trying to lure the other one, not him. Yes, it's very obviously Loki. And he tases Loki, but Loki seems to get away. Oh, and Loki knows exactly who Frank is. And so, Frank manages to ruin his relationship. And him and Banner go to a house out in the middle of nowhere. A couple of kids stay through the door. Twins, except for their hair color and their height. They hand the kids the note. And Wanda, Scarlet Witch. Wanda understands exactly what Frank's going through. Feels Wanda says that Frank made a vow to protect his loved ones. He can't abandon them for a new family just because it's easy. He's a man whose soul thirsts for revenge. And when it was said, Frank knew it was right. And he fights Wanda's two kids. He apologizes for beating the shit out of her baby boys. And Wanda says they are warriors like him, and he mustn't accept comfort in trade for absolution. There are worlds outside of this one, and they can be shaped with a sentence or with a machine. As they're leaving, Banner says that he's a little insulted. The answer is potentially scientific in nature, and he had to learn that from a witch. Though Castle's happy because a machine is something he can break. And we're back to now. Punisher, Hulk says, Punisher punish, and Frank says, yeah, Punisher punish. He might be onto something there. They all seek care. But Bruce reverts. And Karen Page then says that she knows that Murdoch saw her grave. Matt Daredevil saw her grave and everything, and then Frank wanted to say that he believes it. She's a ghost or something. She brought us together, didn't she? And he's seen weirder this past week. Explaining that him and Bruce went on a little road trip to meet up with some of the names they got. And they're not done yet. They got one more. Next on the list, T'Challa. I gotta say, I'm absolutely loving this miniseries. This is probably one of my favorite books of the year. Alrighty. Next up, we've got West Coast Avengers number 5. Where things left off, Kate was receiving a call from Captain America. And you can't just tell Cap to wait. So, with the camera rolling, we catch her side of the conversation, saying, she understands. The West Coast Avengers thing, they said, they didn't mean, the paper said it, not, And Cap's not happy. Doesn't really like the reality TV thing. There's some bad history there, hard to blame him. Namely because of what happened to New Warriors in the lead of the Civil War. And then apparently they're going to talk again later as Cap had to go because Namor was throwing a fit or something. On the 405, we get the Avengers fighting a guy named Gridlock, who seems to be able to make cars, basically combine cars together to, But they save the day. Gwen saves a kitty with an assist from Quentin Quire. And America has a date. The team, of course, just as they get home, they've got a situation. And it turns out that Bridget, the dragon, the woman turned into a dragon by MODOK, is totally willing to give the team a ride. They get to an abandoned amusement park, and there's a big holo display of Madame Mask's mask. And Kate kind of, asks Hawkeye if the mayor sounded suspiciously like Madame Mask. Yeah, she did. And then America proceeds to bring her date, Fuse's sister, in on the fun. Also through a giant dome. Which, of course, makes Gwen feel extraordinary because Thunderdome! Anyways, they all, or everyone gets teleported away in a burst of hellfire. Quentin and Gwen will end up in the